All right, all right. How's that? Testing one, two, three. That's something I don't want playing in the background there. That's probably Mildred. A download ahead. Video, there we go. We'll close that off. All right, all right. Welcome to the BFTAA and More show. This is your host, Louis George Walker. As I try to continue to come to you, let's see, there we go. Now I'm coming to you live from the KUAW radio studios. Hope you don't hear me double there. I always have to see why come my sound isn't coming out right, but it's coming out right now, so I can hear myself over on the other radio, so try to monitor what's going on. Hey, welcome to BFTAA and More show. I'll turn this down. Be right back. Yes. All right. This is the BFTAA and More show. I'm your host, Louis George Walker, and glad that you can join me today. We got a lot of information to try and get to you, or a little bit that we're going to try and get to you in a big way, but we're just glad that you're here. The Black Family Technology Awareness Association and the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center has come together to form a radio station that we call KUAW, stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, right here in Kansas City, Missouri, and we broadcast 24 hours a day. You're watching a live video broadcast right now, but we also have an audio site where we broadcast 24 hours a day, where you can hear music, you can hear news, information, and very timely talking comments or shows and programs. So glad that you're with us today. We're glad that you're here. It's a sunny day in Kansas City. We didn't get no rain. They were talking about a 30% chance, but we didn't get it. But anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of things going on today. One of the big news items that came out was that at midnight in Afghanistan time, which has already happened now for the 31st, that all of our troops are out of Afghanistan. The last plane left. There are no more military troops there. There are still some Americans left, about 250 that are in Afghanistan that for different reasons, some didn't want to leave, some maybe were prevented from or felt it wouldn't be safe, so they're maybe waiting for a better opportunity and chance to leave Afghanistan. So, but for the majority of people, it is over. We are out of there. The United States' our longest war, the longest war that we've ever had is now over. So we are out of Afghanistan, and we can now take the fallout or whatever's going to happen from that. But there are no more troops over in Afghanistan. It's really, our heart goes out to all the families of the 13 soldiers and seamen that died over there in that bomb explosion, suicide bomber. And it's maybe good that we're away from that and that we can maybe deal with other things that are more pressing and spare the loss of any more lives. We're just glad that that it's over with. So our hats off to all the American soldiers that have done their part in there. Now let's see if we can work on building a better America. That would be one of the good things to have now. But we're out, and now we're going on to other things. And we've got some stuff that's been happening in the news right around here, or things I want to talk to you about. One is about, you know, how loans and people don't think about it much anymore, but it's still a thing of biases in home mortgages that we get. And home mortgages are definitely a way of building up wealth in your family and in the community. To build wealth, we have to have assets. You have to start building. You have to be gaining, and owning a home is one good way to build assets up. So I've got an article that talks about that and why there is some problems with it. Also, I've been reading a little bit and studying a little bit about our security on our internet browsers and tracking that is taking place with these tracking cookies and Google, which a lot of us use. I mean, I've got a Gmail account and I use Google Chrome and all, but how they're tracking us, and we may need to really look at that. I'm starting to do some studying and reading on this to find out exactly. I used to didn't think it was a big deal, but now, especially after seeing how these algorithms, how a lot of AI things are making decisions in our lives, that maybe I don't want the internet selling as much about me as it is able to sell right now. So that's something that we'll talk about. So we got a lot of things to cover. We also like to cover what's going on at NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So as usual, we'll have what's happening this week at NASA coming on. But we're glad that you're listening to KUAW Radio. You can be listening to us on Facebook, YouTube. We're not on Twitter right now because for some reason it didn't want to set up right. But we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch right now live. Also, our audio side that you can pick up 24 hours a day on the online radio box, on mytuner.com, on the TuneIn app, on Radio Garden, or if you just go to www.kuaw.org. You can pick up our station 24 hours a day. And if you have a smart speaker, you can tell it to play KUAW and it will. If you've got a smartphone that you can tell it to play KUAW and it will. If you have a Bluetooth equipped car, go to the TuneIn app, search for KUAW, hook up your Bluetooth. You can listen in your car as you're driving to work, as you're driving cross country. We're all over the world with this internet radio station. Internet radio is a growing product in the United States and in the world, and we're right there with it. So come on and listen, come on and join and get your internet radio. 5G is coming out. It's going to make it easier to connect more and more things. So we want to be there with you, and this is on the leading edge. So if you haven't been using the Bluetooth in your car, check it out. See if you can get it. If you don't know how to set it up, then work with somebody to get it set up, and you'll find that a lot of your shows, your podcasts, internet radio stations are being broadcast, and you can listen to them over your car speakers. And cars are coming readily equipped. I don't think you can buy a new car that doesn't have Bluetooth capabilities. So, you know, we're on that. We're part of the leading edge of technology, and we want to take you with us. This is KUAW Radio and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, because our goal is to get African Americans used to using technology, closing that digital divide that sometimes makes a difference in your income, in your standard of living, and in a lot of other things that you could be doing if you are using the technology to your benefit, to the best of your ability. So our goal is to do that. And we know that a lot of you have computers and tablets, smartphones. So start using them for things that can benefit you. You know, and that if that's playing games, doing some entertainment, that's fine. But if it's also taking some classes, if it's opening a business, if it's starting to do things to help you manage your money, to learn about investing, those type of things, then that's what we need to be using the technology for. It's just a tool. Computers and stuff, I mean, if you want to get into them as a business, it's great. If you want to learn how to run wiring, if you want to learn how to code and all the different protocols that are used in the network connections, that's good because you can make a good living in it if you like that. But if you just want to use this tool, which the internet and the computer is just a tool to help you do other things, like writing, like making movies, like doing radio broadcasts, podcasts, all of that. So let's use the technology in our community. Let's make sure that our kids are using it wisely. You know, let's embrace this and let's run with it. So before we go any further, we want to go ahead and join now with what's the latest going on at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, because when you talk about STEM, which that's what we're about, science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM fields, that's where a lot of STEM activities are taking place is at NASA. So they show you about rockets, robots, and all of that. But, you know, let's get involved in that also. So let's watch what's happening this week at NASA.
Highlighting an upcoming Earth-observing mission, the science on the next resupply mission to the space station, and testing a new material to help future spacecraft land on distant worlds. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. We launched a new interactive website highlighting Landsat 9. The joint NASA and U.S. Geological Survey satellite mission is targeted for launch September 16th from California's Vandenberg Space Force Base. Landsat 9 will continue the program's critical role in monitoring, understanding, and managing land resources, such as agricultural crops, water, and forests needed to sustain human life. For more details, visit nasa.gov/Landsat9. The next SpaceX resupply mission to the International Space Station will carry a variety of NASA science investigations, including a study on preventing and treating bone density loss, an investigation aimed at detecting and mitigating vision disorders, and a new robotic arm demonstration that has potential uses on Earth, including for disaster relief. The mission is currently targeted for launch August 28th from our Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The team working on the umbrella-like adaptable deployable entry and placement technology, or ADEPT heat shield design to deliver science payloads on future missions to Mars and beyond, is testing out a new material called spider weave. It is a woven fabric they think will improve the integrity of the heat shield and make it safer for larger vehicles to safely pass through the atmospheres of more distant locations. On August 19th, we observed the 100th birthday of late Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry with a panel discussion about the groundbreaking show's legacy of inspiration, hope, and diversity. His son Rod Roddenberry moderated the panel, which included Star Trek actor and activist George Takei, as well as members of NASA's diverse workforce. Opening remarks for the event were provided by NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. It also featured a 1976 recording in which Gene Roddenberry talked about the impact he hoped the show would have on diversity and inclusion.
The whole show was an attempt to say that humanity will reach maturity and wisdom on the day that it begins not just to tolerate, but to take a special delight in differences in ideas and differences in life forms.
We transmitted Roddenberry's recorded remarks into space through the agency's Deep Space Network as the panel discussion was happening. Astronomers have spotted a group of young stars and star-forming gas clouds sticking out of one of our Milky Way galaxy's spiral arms like a splinter from a piece of lumber. This previously unrecognized feature of the galaxy's Sagittarius arm stretches some 3,000 light-years and was found with help from NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope prior to its retirement in January 2020. We invited you to join us in celebrating National Aviation Day on August 19th by using the hashtag National Aviation Day to share your celebrations online. The annual observance also falls on the birthday of Orville Wright, the very first pilot of an airplane. Every U.S. aircraft and air traffic control facility uses NASA-developed technology. Learn more about our groundbreaking aeronautics research at nasa.gov/flight. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
All right. Yeah, that's what's going on at NASA right now. A lot of important things. I don't know if you were Star Trek fans, but I definitely was from the very beginning of the early Star Trek on through to the Next Generation, and some of the movies. Not all of the movies, but some of the movies were pretty good. So, you know, Star Trek was an inspiration for more than a generation, for a couple of generations, to get involved in science and technology, to get involved in space exploration. They made it seem exciting. Everybody wanted to be part of that. So that's what we want for your young people and for all of the young people in the community, is to get involved in some of the things that are exciting. Everybody may not want to go to the moon, but it's always good to know a little bit about it. So, hey, Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, we thank you, we salute you. I know Nicole Nichols was one of the first, blacks in a regular TV show and definitely in a science fiction show. And she's been the inspiration for many more people to strive. And like Whoopi Goldberg, she said she looked at her as somebody that helped her want to be in entertainment and want to be in movies, was watching her on Star Trek. So sometimes there's a lot of things and role models that are in there. Same way with playing games and watching some of the movies that are out. Those are always good for imagination. So, if your kids are into comic books, that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're reading. They're stretching their minds and stuff. I mean, you can go overboard with anything, but that's always a way to kind of get that imagination going. And imagination is what we need to move forward. Now, before we go into the next bit of what's going on at NASA, because they have one more called Earth to Space, or Space to Earth, something like that. Wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on there with, let's see if we've got that. Wanted to find the piece I had on, and I may not have that now. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So they're talking about Chrome, and I read an article that was in Forbes by Zach Doffman. He's a contributor with cybersecurity, and he covers that surveillance and security for Forbes magazine. And it says why you suddenly need to delete Google Chrome. So this is not the opinions of KUAW Radio or its sponsors, but we are giving you this article that's off of Forbes magazine, and it's about Google Chrome and why you suddenly need to delete it. And what they're talking about there is that there was an admission from Google that it hasn't yet made headlines, but it should be a serious warning to all of the 2.6 billion users. If you're one of them, this nasty new surprise should be a genuine reason to quit. So they, behind the slick marketing and feature updates, the reality is that Chrome is in a mess when it comes to privacy and security. It has fallen behind the rivals in protecting users from tracking and data harvesting. Its plan to ditch nasty third-party cookies has been awkwardly postponed, and the replacement technology it said would prevent users from being profiled and tracked turns out to have just made everything worse. So that's one of the things, and they're not going to get rid of cookie tracking, it says in this article, till 2023. So there's ways for third parties to find out where you go in different sites. What kind of brought this up to me, I know a lot of us have seen before that when you're looking for something that you want to buy online, or you're looking to buy a new car and all of that, you search a lot of places, and then when you turn on your computer the next time, you see an ad over in the side about new cars. It just follows. If you change and start looking for purses or sunglasses, the next time you come back or turn on your computer or open up the browser, there's some ads about sunglasses. So they're tracking. They know what you've been looking at, and they're selling that information to businesses. Yeah, those things don't pop up there by accident, and they don't pop up there for free. But that's what Google is telling them. They say, hey, when somebody's looking for a car, we can let you know who it is. And Ford, General Motors, Nissan, whoever, if y'all will buy the service, we'll make sure that you pop up on there. So we can sell an ad to them, or they will sell an ad to them that makes sure that you who are looking for a car would see it. So that's what they're doing. They're getting the information. So a lot of the things that you get for free on Google and a lot of sites, Microsoft and those, they're not just free. They're getting the information about you, and then they're selling it. So you're thinking you're getting a free product or service, and you find out that you are the product or service. Because what they're doing is selling your eyeballs. They're selling your intent or what you're looking for. So that's something we really have to be maybe more and more aware of. It hadn't been, but as you think about it now, a lot of times this data is sold not only to advertisers, but to any kind of company, the people that are paid for it. And then how is it used? How is it gathered? How do they know exactly who you are, or how are they selling this? And we don't know. A lot of the companies don't say. So that's something that we have to be aware of. And I'm going to do some more looking at this, but it's starting to interest me that my data is going out there being sold about me, my likes, my wants, whatever I'm looking for, my friends, all of that. Because I found out, I forwarded emails to a couple of friends of mine. I do kayak fishing. I fish from a kayak, and I have fun with it. So I'm always looking at things coming up on kayaks. What's the new kayaks? And some of them have motors now, and some have pedals and all that. So I'm searching that. So a lot of times when I open up my browser, sure enough, kayaks jump up on that. So that wasn't as bad. But I'm forwarding a friend of mine different emails that we do just in the course of doing business, one of the other hosts on the show. And he says, boy, I know that email must have come from you. He said, because now when I open up my computer, my browser, it's showing me kayaks. And he doesn't even care about kayaks. He doesn't even fish. But he's seeing these kayaks, which is what I was looking at. So now that information not only was being shown to me, but when I forwarded an email, what I had been searching for is forwarded over to his computer. So they're saying his friend might be interested in it. We're going to send this same information to everybody that he contacts. So I'm thinking that may be a little bit invasion of privacy. I may be looking at some kind of medicine that I'm taking, and I don't want to send that to everybody. But if I forward you an email or something, you might say, how come I'm getting this type of medicine thing in there? Somebody I know is George sick, or is it something like that? That's information that is being passed on without asking you if you want it passed on. So those are things that we need to start looking at. And privacy on the internet, with AI, with the way people can use a lot of this information, put it together to either help you or to hurt you, we need to be more aware of it and how it's being done. I know there's a lot of people that are working on this, and I've seen some articles. So I'm going to be bringing you some more information about cybersecurity, about tracking cookies, those type of things, because as you use the internet, you've got to be armed. As you use anything, you've got to be armed with what's going on, what's happening around you. So not that we don't use it, but we need to know how it's being used, how it might affect us in our day-to-day living. So that's just a little bit of cybersecurity, and I've got some friends that work in that field. I may ask them for a little more information and see if I can get a guest to come on and talk about this. But yeah, let's be aware that cookies and tracking cookies are something that, we might want to pay more attention to. And on some browsers, they have settings that you can eliminate tracking cookies. But they're saying that Google is a little behind the other browsers. So there's more browsers than Google Chrome. There's a lot of them out there. There's Safari, there's Microsoft Edge, there's Mozilla, there's probably 3 or 4 more. And you need to see, do they have an ability that you can stop that type of tracking? So that tracking cookies, if you want them, then you should be able to turn it on and say, I want the tracking cookies. Or to be able to say, no, I don't want tracking cookies. So that's something that we need to be aware of. And as we move forward, let's start paying attention to that. Now, as I said, we keep talking about space and what's going on there. There's one more program that NASA puts out, and it's called Space to Ground. And they give us a weekly update of things that are going on the International Space Station that's orbiting in low orbit around the Earth all the time now. They're doing a lot of experiments, a lot of great things. People are staying up there for months and months at a time. So our space station is up there. It's fine. I think it's great that we have them, and that at some point we even need to have more space stations or bigger ones and a little farther out, that it's really able to do a lot more than what they're able to do now. But let's look at what's going on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Melissa Ramsey. This week, the Space Station crew is preparing for the arrival of a cargo dragon and a pair of Russian spacecrafts. During the early morning hours of Saturday, August 28th, a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft will launch from Florida carrying supplies and research experiments to the International Space Station. You can watch the launch live on NASA TV, nasa.gov, and the NASA app. Launch of the cargo Dragon is scheduled to take place at 3:37 a.m. Eastern. With Dragon's arrival to the space station on Sunday, more exciting science is en route to the orbiting laboratory. A new robotic arm is arriving on Dragon, but this one will be working inside the space station. The G-Tides S1 robotic arm will perform activities such as pushing buttons, flipping switches, and plugging in cables on a passport. These tests could help in the development of robots to support future crew activities. Researchers will test a commercially available lens that attaches to a mobile device such as a tablet or smartphone to capture images of astronauts' retinas. The Retinal Diagnostics investigation aims to validate this technology that could be a useful tool in the field of telemedicine, both in space exploration and remote areas on Earth. The Missy-15 NASA experiment will test and analyze the effects of the harsh environment of space on concrete, fiberglass, solar cells, and more. This is an ongoing series of tests by NASA research centers testing the performance and durability of new materials and configurations. To learn more about these and other scientific investigations on the space station, follow us on Twitter at ISS_research. 2 spacewalks are planned to outfit the new Russian multipurpose laboratory module for science. Cosmonauts Oleg Novitsky and Fyodor Zubrov are set to venture outside the Kursk airlock on Friday, September 3rd, and again on Thursday, September 9th, to prepare the Russian Noka module for science operations. The new module will serve not only as a science facility, but also as a docking port and as an airlock for future spacewalks. And that's Instagram for this week. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you next week.
All right. That's space to ground. So yeah, that robotic arm really looked interesting. I don't know if you've seen that. There was a toy out, and I think it's still sold at some science shops, of a robotic arm like that. Because when we had our Black Youth Technology Fair, the Black Family Technology Awareness Youth Technology Fair, one of the students from Harvest Church, they had that robotic arm and they brought it down. They were working with it, and now you see how some child may be working with that robotic arm. And what are they doing up on the space station? Experimenting with robotic arms that will be able to start assembling things and doing work on there. If you've got the robotic arm and then you program it, then it can build certain things on its own. That's fantastic. That's what we do at the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. We have a robotics program that we actually build competitive robots. We have kids working from 8 years old through 18 years old. We have a Legos program and a VEX robotics program. So if you want your child to get involved in robotics, contact the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. They can start learning about robots, and on the weekends have a great time. We meet every Saturday, or we will be meeting. We're not meeting Saturdays right now because the building is still closed due to COVID. But we're looking at maybe having an opening in October. I got an email, so I'm going to be checking with them to see if we'll be back in. Also, we're looking to find an instructor or a coach for our Lego team. So if you know somebody that's involved in robotics, a teacher or somebody that does it as a hobby that would like to help us out with our Lego robotics team, working with kids from 9 years old to 12 years old, that elementary school age students, let us know. We'd like to get in touch with them and talk to them about helping us with our robotics program here at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. So we're still looking for coaches. If you know somebody, or if you think you would be interested in learning to work with the kids, you don't have to be an engineer or anything like that. You can be a parent. You can be just a hobbyist or somebody that's concerned about getting our kids ready for that next generation of life, that they'll have to be earning money and stuff and getting them thinking right, then get in contact with us, the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. You can reach us on Facebook at Black Family Technology Awareness Association BFTAA, or just put in BFTAA and we'll come up. Or you can email us at bftaa@sbcglobal.net. So the Black Family Technology Awareness Association is looking for all kinds of volunteers. So if you'd like to find out about us, and if you think that you'd like to get involved with the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, we'd be glad to have you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So as we've been going through that, I got one more story that you can follow up on if you go to our Facebook page. I actually posted this story on Facebook also, but it talks about, and this is why linking those tracking cookies and the things that go with that to a story that I got out of the markup that was published just a couple of days ago on August the 25th by Emmanuel Martinez and Lauren Kirchner. And it talks about the secret bias hidden in mortgage approval algorithms. So we're talking about data again. See, data plays a big part in our lives. Those tracking cookies on your computer, in your browser, so that's data. That's data about you that's sold. Now, when you talk about mortgages, you go to get a mortgage and you go to your bank. They're using data. Algorithms. They say, yeah, fill out these papers. They don't go back and sit in a room and say, I think I'm going to do it. They plug it into a computer. The computer comes back and says, yes, I think they should get a loan, or no, I think this would be risky to loan to them. That's a thing that happens with that data. And now what we're finding out is that there's hidden algorithms, and everybody doesn't even know. Most people don't know. Even the loan people don't know. What data are they using to make those decisions? So they're collecting data. So they're collecting data when you're on the internet and stuff. Not the same people, but data is being collected. So now, is some of that data being looked at when you go to apply for a loan? We don't know for sure. And a lot of companies, or not a lot of companies, a couple of the big organizations behind mortgages don't want you to find out, or they don't want it to be published. They don't want you to know. But as we look at this, that data is used in determining who gets a loan, who doesn't get a loan. The story that I was reading about was a couple that had moved from California to North Carolina. It said that the new 4-bedroom house in Charlotte, North Carolina was Crystal Marie and Ecus McDaniel's personal American dream. The reason they had moved to this southern town from pricey Los Angeles a few years ago. A lush long line, 2,700 square feet of living space, a neighborhood pool and playground for their son. That's what everybody wants, all for $375,000. Pre-qualifying was a breeze. Both of them made 6 figures. So both of them made $100,000 a year plus. So that they were living pretty good. She was in marketing at a utility company, and Ecus was representing a pharmaceutical company. So the monthly mortgage payment that would have come from that $375,000 house was less than they paid for rent in Los Angeles for years. So they were happy about it. They were scheduled to sign the mortgage on August the 23rd of 2019 and were so excited to move in that they booked the movers for the same day. The Wednesday before the big day, the loan officer called Crystal and everything changed, she said. The deal wasn't going to close. So see, that's the thing, and you don't always know why. They say, well, your loan didn't go through. Well, why? What happened? Part of it that they tried to say was because, you're a contractor and you're not a full-time employee. So even though you're making good money, you're just working as a contractor. But her job had sent in a letter saying that, you didn't have to worry about it. They were going to keep her there. All the other people were contractors there. A lot of them had houses, had mortgages. Her co-workers were contractors, and they had mortgages. Now, what was it different? Her co-workers are white, and she is black. So they said the reason you can't get the loans is because you're working as a contractor. There's other people working at the same place doing the same job that are contractors. They got a mortgage. They were white. That's what we have to look at, is some of the systemic racism that gets built into things. Some people thought, well, if a computer's making all the decision, it won't look at color. Well, no, but it depends upon what algorithms, what does it look at, and what does it, judge things by. So bias can be built in to just what you look at. Now, applicants of color are denied mortgages at higher rates. That's not new news. On this article, and if you go to our Facebook page, KUAW radio, go there, you'll see the same article. I posted it. I also posted on my personal page that it has the secret bias hidden in mortgage approval algorithms. So you can check this out, check out the article. They've got a lot of data that they've used. They've even put in what's been criticized about it and stuff. They're trying to give a fair and balanced report. But it says, nationwide, and when I did the United States on this, let's see, where is it at? Here it is, the United States. Okay, in the United States, and this is just a rough estimate. It says this data was from 2019. The illustrations are from ProPublica. We applied the odds ratios from our regression to white applicants' actual denial rates to calculate the number of denials for each racial and ethnic group. They say these numbers are not the actual denials or actual number of applications in each location, but rather have been standardized for comparison. We rounded to the nearest person. So it says this is denial rates of people applying, of 100 people similarly qualified with the same job, same money earning and all of that. For every 100 that applied, 5 white people were denied mortgages out of every 100. Out of every 100 in the United States, 7 Latino applicants were denied. For every 100 is similarly in the United States, 7 Asian Pacific Islanders were denied. For 100 people, for every 100 people applying of Native American ancestry, 8 were denied. And for black applicants, for every 100, 9 were denied. So the United States average says that you're almost twice as likely to be denied a mortgage if you're black than if you're white. That the Latinos, the Native Americans, and Pacific Islanders, they get turned down a little bit less, 7 and 8 times. But it shows that there's something going on if they're all making about the same money, if they all have the same debt ratios, those type of things that we'd have to look at and that you'd have to know. And it goes in deep detail. I can't go into all of that in this article right now in the time that we have. But it does say that we found that lenders gave fewer loans to black applicants than white applicants, even when their incomes were high, $100,000 a year or more, and had the same debt ratios. In fact, high-earning black applicants with less debt were rejected more often than high-earning white applicants who have more debt. So that's data, that's information. Lenders used to tell us it's because you don't have the lending profiles, the ethno-racial differences would go away if you had them, and that was Jose Loya, assistant professor of urban planning at UCLA, who has studied public mortgage data extensively and reviewed our methodology. Your work shows that's not true. That was his statements right there. So they've sent this out. It said in written statements The ABA, which is the American Bankers Association, and the MBA criticized the markups analysis for not including credit scores or focusing on conventional loans only and not including government loans such as those guaranteed by the FHA and the Department of Veterans Affairs. But it says isolating conventional loans from government loans is common in mortgage research because they are different products. A conventional loan is not being guaranteed by the government. That's one thing that you want to know, that they are different products with different thresholds for approval and loan term. Government loans bring people who wouldn't otherwise qualify into the market, but they tend to be more expensive for the borrower. So you may think that just getting the FHA, well, at least you got into a house. But the government loans bring more people in, but they're even more expensive for the borrower. So if you don't get a regular conventional loan from a bank and you have to go to the government to get an FHA loan, then you may pay a little more. So it could be 1%, it could be, 0.5% or something. But if you look at a 15, especially a 30-year loan, which is the more common loan, 1% can be $100,000 over the time of that loan, of that 30 years. You may pay $100,000 more. You may pay, depending upon the price of the house and everything, but every little percent can be thousands of dollars over a 30-year loan period. And that's money that could be used by your family. And if the people that's making conventional loans are getting a better deal, then that would put you, if most black people have to go FHA to get a loan, well, now we've lost some of our savings and wealth generating power because our loan is more expensive. And that's the thing that we have to think about. A lot of people say, well, at least you got the house and things like that. But we have to look at our dollars and cents and start managing our money, looking at the long term. If you want to pass things on to your kids, if you want to have generational wealth, that is going to be important. That makes it easier for you or for your next generation to finance college themselves for their children, so that they're not saddled with student loans, so that, you're able to pay for that yourself. To get our community, to get a lot of the people of color and black people in particular up, we've got to start doing things on the money side, on the educational side, on our economics, a lot different than we've been doing them. And that's what we've got to do. It says even the Federal Reserve and the Consumer Financial Protection Agency that releases mortgage data separate conventional and FHA loans in their research on lending disparities. So that's the thing that you do. Authors of one academic study out of Northeastern and George Washington University said they focus on conventional loans only because FHA loans have long been implemented in a manner that promotes segregation. So now that's interesting. FHA loans have long been implemented in a manner that promotes segregation. This is from a study from Northeastern and George Washington Universities. So that's the thing that we have to look at. As for credit scores, it is impossible for us to include them in our analysis because the CFPB, another big board, strips them from public view from the HMDA data, in part due to the mortgage industry's lobbying to remove them, citing borrower privacy. So, they complain about, well, what you study is not right. It doesn't happen like that. If you had all the data, you know why we were not giving as many loans to African Americans as we do to white Americans. Well, but they don't want you to have that information. They say that data you can't have. Well, you can't judge it if you don't have all the data, but we don't want you to have the data. So it's like, you can't prove that we're being discriminatory. It just looks that way, So we have to think about all those things. And it made me, in my post, I thought about a line that I got from a Gil Scott-Heron song. It was called The Siege of New Orleans. But one of the things it said in there, it says, are we stupid or just naive that believe that money can buy us anything, even a slice of the American dream? We have to think about that. As our dream being denied, as this family found out there were 2 6-figure earners that were denied for a loan for a house, $375,000. Now the story ends at the end that they stuck with it, they fought it, they wrote letters, they had her boss write more letters from the company and things, and they didn't give up, and they got the loan. They were able to get the house. But they had to jump through a lot of hoops, so that says that you do have to be persistent and persevere. They didn't give up just because they said your loan didn't go through. They didn't walk away and say, oh, we can't get the house. So those are things that we have to look at. Systemic racism, things that get built into policies that the computer has, so that if the computer, we think that the computer is just going to look at data and give us a colorblind answer. Well, it depends upon what data was put in. So don't get confused because they say, well, the computer did it and the computer doesn't lie, or the computer isn't biased and stuff. No, they can be biased because all they know is the data that's given to them, and that they will work off of that data. So if you put in data that's biased, then the result is going to be biased. That's all I have for today, though. It was just something for us to stay attuned to listen to, and to be aware of. This is George Walker with the Black Family Technology Awareness Association on the BFTAA and More show on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. That's KUAW.org. Go to our website. Check us out. Listen to some of the broadcasts we have there. Put us on your Bluetooth. Tell your speaker, Alexa, play KUAW, and see what's on. You may pick up some knowledge that you like. You also may get some old school music, some blues, some smooth jazz. We have all of it right here at KUAW. Thank you for joining. We hope that we'll see you again next week on the BFTAA and More show. I'm your host, Louis George Walker. Bye-bye.